Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I now recognize Mr. Garcia from California for 5 minutes.
Now, I think actually Chairwoman Greene supports everything that the Trump administration is actually doing. So instead of a serious hearing, we're here to attack NPR and PBS. So let's get right into it. Now, Ms. Kerger, the American people want to know, is Elmo now, or has he ever been, a member of the Communist Party of the United States? A yes or no?
No.
Now, are you sure, Ms. Kerger? Because he's obviously red.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here. And has Elmo now or even been a member of the Communist Party? Yeah, you heard that right. During a congressional hearing chaired by Marge the Trainwreck Greene, a real-life Miss Piggy with less charm and more conspiracy theories, Representative Robert Garcia actually asked a witness if Elmo was part of a communist plot.
He also has a very dangerous message about sharing and helping each other. He's indoctrinating our kids that sharing is caring. Now, maybe he's part of a major socialist plot, and maybe that's why the chairwoman is having this hearing today. But let's talk about somebody else. Let's talk about Cookie Monster. Now, we know that Health Secretary RFK Jr. is coming out against fast food and baked goods. Are we silencing pro-cookie voters? Yes or no? Ms. Kroger.
But cookies are a sometime food.
Well, thank you. And now, I agree with you. And let's also talk about the most important, maybe, character on Sesame Street. This is actually Big Bird. Now, Ms. Kroger, since Elon Musk actually fired USDA workers who have been working on the bird flu, does it make sense to also fire Big Bird? Yes or no?
We would like to keep Big Bird.
This wasn't Saturday morning. This wasn't some forgotten sketch on Mad TV. This was a real-life Doge subcommittee hearing where the future of funding for NPR and PBS was being decided. Apparently, Sesame Street is now a national threat again, because instead of discussing the economy, national security breaches, or why veterans can't access their benefits, Republicans used your taxpayer dollars to interrogate Elmo, Big Bird, and whether Bernie and Ert were leading an extreme homosexual agenda.
This, of course, is Bert and Ernie. Now, these two guys actually live together. They're friends. They're supportive of each other. Now, that might be triggering to our chairwoman and someone in this committee, and perhaps that's also why we're here today. Ms. Kerger, an important question. Are Bert and Ernie part of an extreme homosexual agenda?
No.
Thank you, Ms. Kerger, and thank you for being a good sport. Now, I'm obviously using some humor here, but the fact that we're sitting here today talking about defunding public television is actually not funny. At a time where we can't agree on basic facts, and while the free press is under attack, we need public media like PBS and NPR more than ever. A large majority of Americans say they trust PBS. And that's exactly why extremists are trying to tear it down. Public broadcasting is a tool for education, for emergencies, and a cherished part of our national fabric. We get huge benefits from a tiny federal investment. The majority and our chairwoman should drop this attempt to silence media voices they don't like. So the message, I think, today is very, very simple. If we're going to get rid of any puppeteers, we should get rid of the one that's actually controlling Donald Trump. Fire Elon Musk and save Elmo.
Representative Robert Garcia wasn't fooling around. He was holding up a mirror to the chaos. This wasn't a hearing. It was a MAGA culture war carnival. The topic, whether PBS and NPR should continue to receive federal funding. But that's not what this was about. This was about turning public broadcasting into enemy number one. And Garcia knew it. So he walked the audience through their paranoid fever dream, one puppet at a time. First up, Elmo. He's red, he shares. That's socialism, apparently. Garcia hit the point with surgical mockery. He teaches kids that sharing is caring. And, in Greene's world, that's all it takes to label you a Marxist sleeper cell. Then came Cookie Monster. Are we silencing pro-cookie voters? Garcia asked, and sure, it got a laugh, but it wasn't a joke. These are the same Republicans who want to ban poor people from buying cookies with EBT cards. Sorry, no food stamps for you. Better start drinking raw milk. Give up fluoride toothpaste, and if you're lucky, maybe RFK Jr. will bless you with some toad venom and a third eye awakening. Big Bird, the second that the big yellow bird tweeted about getting his COVID shot, the anti-vax meltdown was instant. Garcia nailed it. Since Elon Musk fired USDA scientists, maybe we should fire Big Bird too. And that hit a nerve, because Greene herself is deep in that anti-vax cult, peddling RFK's junk science like it's scripture. But the moment everything froze was when Garcia brought up Bert and Ernie. These two guys live together, he said. They support each other. They're good role models. And then he asked the question, are Bert and Ernie part of an extreme homosexual agenda? The air got thick. You could feel the silence drop like a curtain. The CEO sat there with professionalism on full display and simply said, no, calm, clear, and direct. But the fact that she even had to answer that question, to sit there and be asked if two puppets were pushing a gay agenda on children, shows exactly how far off the deep end that this entire party has gone. It wasn't oversight. It was a witch trial for Muppets. This hearing wasn't about cutting costs. It was about purging values. Elmo represents equality. Cookie Monster, poverty and excess. Big Bird, science and public health. Bert and Ernie, inclusion. And every single one of them is under attack. But this was never about Sesame Street. This is about silencing anything that they can't control or that they don't like. So after Robert Garcia finished roasting the whole puppet trial with truth and sarcasm, here comes Representative Tim Burchett, walking in like he's about to save the day with a pitch for Steve Bannon.
In terms of federal funding, the federal funds go to support our operation of the public radio satellite system, which enables all of our local stations to be able to communicate information and broadcast, including...
As stated earlier, ma'am, funding is very fungible. It flows wherever it needs to. I don't buy that argument.
We do have
I
a
wonder
separate
if any
balance
of the
sheet for
members
that,
of the
sir.
committee would comment real quickly. Would you agree that Real America's Voice, Newsmax, Fox, or News Nation, if they were to see federal funds, would you all support that? Yes or no? Mr. Ullman? Yes or no?
I'd have to get back to you on that.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
I actually don't have an opinion about that.
Ma'am?
I don't have an opinion about that, sir. That would be Congress's decision.
Thank you, Chair Lady.
That's right. The MAGA logic here is simple. If PBS and NPR aren't bending the knee to Trumpism, they don't deserve your tax dollars. But Newsmax, Fox News, Real America's Voice, maybe even Bannon's War Room. Yeah, let's talk about giving them the federal funding. Burchett literally asked the panel if they'd support redirecting funds to those outlets. He didn't say it as a joke. One said they'd get back to him. The other had no opinion, because how do you even respond to that without laughing or screaming? Let's be clear. This wasn't some random throwaway comment. This was the goal. Defund facts, fund fanaticism, pull the plug on Big Bird, and hand the mic to Bannon. That's who Burchett wants to funnel your taxpayer dollars to. Bannon, the guy whose version of public broadcasting would probably be just him screaming into a bucket about Hunter Biden's laptop while selling gold coins and doomsday prep buckets between segments. Because in the MAGA cinematic universe, it's not about informing the public. It's about infecting them with fear, rage, and loyalty to the cult. Public media, not loyal enough to the narrative. Steve Bannon, though, he's ready to feed the narrative until it chokes. And looming over all of this, Elon Musk, the billionaire puppet master pulling strings like Captain Ketamine. Musk hates NPR, labeled it state-affiliated media on X, putting it on the same level as Russian and Chinese propaganda outlets. NPR said thanks but no thanks and left the platform. But the message was clear. Toe the line or be silenced. This is all part of the MAGA playbook. Gut the independent press. Replace it with loyalty media. Use the government to fund your own personal echo chamber. Because in the MAGA worldview, Steve Bannon deserves your tax dollars more than your local PBS station, more than rural news, more than emergency alerts, more than any media that tells the truth. The Republican Party isn't just trying to defund public media. They're trying to destroy it, erase it, and replace it. And if you want proof, let's go straight to the source. Donald Trump himself said it. I would be honored to see it end. What's at stake here isn't just programming, it's access. It's the emergency alert that goes out before the tornado hits. It's the local broadcast of your kid's school board debate. It's the only news some rural families get, and it isn't bought and paid for by the corporate overlords or political donors. It's not just about Sesame Street. It's about silencing every street that doesn't lead back to them. This is the authoritarian blueprint. Kill independent media, replace it with loyalty media, punish any journalist, station, or puppet who refuses to play along. And if you think this ends with Elmo, you haven't been paying attention. Because when the public airwaves go silent, the only thing left speaking will be morons like Marge, Trump and friends, spreading state-run propaganda. So yeah, screw Elon Musk and save Elmo. And that's a fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.